What is up, and welcome to Ask DLF, but better known as Taco Tuesday. I am here, of course. My name is @Calvin and Hobby. I'll be your host as we go through and answer all of your Dynasty questions and make you smarter, especially because you're going to listen to the man right here to my left, Tyler Karp, who is a writer, videographer for DLF and does a lot of awesome things. Tyler, what's up, man? How are you?
Nothing. I mean, everything's great. I just wrote an article today.
Yeah,
really? An article today. Actually, I just finished it.
So what did you write about?
Well, people were asking me on Twitter. It was funny. People were asking me about this exact same thing about players that could be traded, and I was like, "Well, I mean, you might read such a thing very soon." So I don't know when exactly that's going to come out, but it's probably. I mean, it's going to come out this week in the next couple of days.
So I don't want you, obviously don't give it all away. Like, you need to go be a subscriber at dynastyleaguefootball.com. It's well worth it for a lot of things.
Words. I can't give it all away.
Yeah, but you get to read things from Tyler, very smart things. You get a lot of great tools. dynastyleaguefootball.com. You should be a member no matter what. Like, if you're watching this, you should be a member. You should subscribe to the channel. A lot of great deals. Go check that out. You should subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. But Tyler, like, in terms of people being traded, like, I guess you want to give us maybe a juicy name that you think might can be dealt.
Do you want me to just give the ones from the article? I can.
Just one.
Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson.
Ooh, that could be interesting. What would be the ideal scenario for Allen Robinson?
Anywhere else.
Literally anywhere else. Maybe except for the Jets.
No, I'd rather him be on the Jets.
Wow. Even the Jets.
Can't be worse.
Yeah, I suppose.
Can't be worse, honestly.
Like we've said that before. And not been right.
Can't be worse.
Who dat checking in? We got Taco Tuesday. If you don't know why we call it that, you'll have to go back and listen to all of our old episodes and find out, because it's in there somewhere.
Oh my God, yeah. You'll have to go. You have to go listen to that.
Henry, what's up, Henry? The legend, the man, the myth, the legend right here. Henry, how are your leagues going, Henry? Let us know in the chat. I want to hear I want to hear your combined record for all of your teams. Add them all up. I want to hear all of it. It's well over 100.
Take a while.
Yeah, it might take you all day. It's 8:31. Yes, we were a little bit late. Sorry about that. We were getting everything set up. Ed says, let's go. I'm excited too. So if you've got questions for us, you're watching this, whatever, something you want us to react to, information you want us to talk about, anything, the big news of Joe Flacco being traded to the Jets. Obviously that's huge fantasy impactful news. Just kidding. It's not, but we'll talk about whatever you want. Or if you have trades, we don't typically do starter sit stuff, but if you've got trades or things that you want us to discuss, we will. Trogdor says it's time. Yes, it's definitely time. Ed, I think this is a party.
Yeah,
hat. Yeah,
it's a party hat.
Todd, with an important question right here: hard or soft shell, Tyler?
I mean,
in a world where you would eat a taco, would you rather a hard or soft shell?
I always preferred hard shell.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you. That is a link to dynastyleaguefootball.com right there.
Hey, you never know. Someone could just have come across the YouTube channel and they don't know where to find dynastyleaguefootball.com. Maybe they didn't know.
You are 100% right, as always, Tyler. Who that says no? I don't know what. Not Jets.
Not Jets.
Yeah. Saints. Yeah,
they don't have cap room. They don't have the cap room.
The cap room is a myth. It's a myth.
Not during the season. During the season, it's not a myth.
Ridley Truther says, yo, boys. What's up, Ridley Truther? Appreciate you tuning in. Just traded Austin Eckler for a 2022 first and second and a 2023 first. Is that fair? Rebuilding. Also, is it dumb to trade? Well, let's take the first part first. What do you think about that seems like a fair price for Eckler to me. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I would love to take that if I were rebuilding, right? I mean, 26-year-old running back.
Right.
Go for it.
Yeah. He's not the kind of person that you, if your window is a couple years away, it's not somebody that I think you'd want to have on your team. So this is great value right here. No doubt. Also, is it dumb to trade Lamar in a super flex league for 3 first. Have Stafford in the same league. Prefer to trade him. Obviously, I think is what he's trying to say there. But what do you think? He's being offered 3 first for Lamar in a super flex league.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough. I want more.
3
and you
first,
won't get more, so just hang on to Lamar.
Yeah, 3 first and a low tier quarterback. Is that kind of what you'd be looking for?
Maybe. I don't really want to trade Lamar. I don't know why you would want to trade Lamar.
Yeah,
in any situation really.
Doesn't seem like fun. So,
no.
Robert M. Streeter, like he's doing here, he's got a question, and I appreciate the question from Really Truther and from you, Robert. If you have one, go ahead and get in the chat now, so we can get to as many of these as possible here tonight. We got an hour and a half, and we will answer as many possible questions in here as we can. As a 7-0 contender with the most points for, how do you manage being a contender and what to do? Can that be another video? There's definitely a lot of nuances to this, but for someone in that position, my biggest advice is just don't screw it up. But what do you say?
Don't tinker too much. Sign up for my Patreon. That'll help you. That'll help you. I can actually help you. You specifically, not just everybody watching. That's kind of what I do on there. I put the link at the bottom. And as for can it be another video? I could do a video on my own channel about that. Addison could do a video about that. I've written articles about this. There might be one coming about this very topic. Just something to look for.
I would just say don't get too cute and don't screw it up. That's my biggest thing is you've obviously got a good thing. You obviously have a great team. If you have an opportunity to add somebody that you think, helps you, then fine. But I wouldn't be looking so much at I'm going to flip this better person for someone who's got a better matchup in the playoffs. Things I just wouldn't your tendency at 7-0 with points for, you're okay, I don't want to sit still. So I understand this, but
just make good moves.
You can probably mess it up more than you can help yourself at this point.
Yeah, make good moves.
Yeah. Very good. Craig, what's up, guys? Would y'all move Elijah Mitchell for a 2022 and 2023 second in a super flex tiered PPR Dynasty league?
If I'm a contender now and I need Mitchell now, probably not. But otherwise, yes. If I were in a rebuild and it was this or nothing, I would take it. So I think that's the best answer to this question.
So in a rebuild, you'd be looking to get rid. I guess maybe it depends on how bad.
Yeah, in a rebuild, you don't want a running back with 6th-round capital. Look, I got my most liked tweet ever this week was Elijah Mitchell is never ever giving Trey Sermon that job back. And I had some people who are film experts. This was a quick way to piss me off on Twitter. Experts. Okay, you talk about how much smarter you are than me, and then I've already stopped listening to you. Mm-hmm. Quick way to piss me off. But they're telling me that, Trey Sermon is so much better. And I'm like, well, Trey Sermon had 0 snaps in this week. So I don't care. Doesn't matter. What matters is that Mitchell is playing now. And, that's what it is. Clearly, Sermon was drafted higher, and that has been changed. But, it's Kyle Shanahan. I think that once someone goes in the doghouse, they don't usually come out of it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that a new person couldn't come along and put Mitchell back in the doghouse. So, that's why I'm not so interested in Mitchell long term. Not because I'm afraid of Sermon, but because I'm afraid of someone else coming along. Not anyone they have.
Wilson probably represents the biggest
No. Wilson,
challenger. If he gets back and is healthy, I can see
and
him.
Who knows when that's going to be?
Right. We don't know when it's going to be. All that, but I think that's a bigger risk to Mitchell's value than Sermon is right now. How can you look at any evidence of what we've seen, the moves that the 49ers make, that would make you really confident that Sermon's going to get that opportunity?
Oh, he's not going to get that opportunity. No, he's a bust. He can go. I mean, there are people who still think that he's going to be like a fantasy relevant player at all. And you sell him to those people because he's irrelevant. He is a bust. I mean, what is Keyshawn Vaughn worth now? This is the same thing. People who didn't quit on Keyshawn Vaughn after 6 weeks, you were better off quitting after 6 weeks than waiting for a year. You waited for a year, and now you have nothing.
So
you might as well have quit after 6 weeks. You could have recouped maybe a third or even a couple of thirds. If you waited a year, Keyshawn Vaughn has zero value. So, I would get out from Trey Sermon now, which has nothing to do with this question. But,
Well, I think it does have some context, right? Because whether or not I'm willing to get rid of Elijah Mitchell, and again, I guess to kind of reiterate the point, like in a rebuild, I get that I don't want to have, running backs are the last piece, but this is a rookie running back. It's not like this is
Kyle Shanahan could next year decide once he buries someone, he doesn't go back, but there could be a new person next year. There could be a new draft pick next year. There could be a new free agent signing next year. And then Mitchell suddenly goes to the bench. So I don't want any part of that if I'm in a rebuild. I'll just take my profit. I mean, what did you draft Mitchell in? The late third in Superflex? A late third. And you've turned a late third into 2 seconds. I mean, that's a big victory.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just take your victory.
Thanks for the question. Craig, Dustin chimes in here. Evening, gents, fan of the content. Thank you, Dustin. We're a fan of yours as well.
I love this question, by the way.
Just traded away Hurts for a 2023 first and Rondale Moore in a super flex 1.5 tight end premium league. Is that a good value?
Look, a year from now, you're going to be happy you made this deal. You're going to be happier with the 2023 first and Rondale Moore than you will be having Jalen Hurts at that time. My opinion. But I mean, if you're contending and you can't afford to get rid of Hurts, then you can't make this trade. But in a rebuild, how much more do you think you're going to get? You're probably past the point where you can get to first, right? People are starting to lose faith.
I can't see a scenario where he's not given an opportunity to start at some point next year.
Right, but he's not going to be worth more than this. And
I know that that's an area where we disagree with, but I mean, for fantasy purposes, as long as he's getting opportunities,
But the second he's not starting, he's worth nothing.
It's true.
So and the thing is, and I've done this exercise with many people, and no one's really come up with an answer. Mm-hmm. They've come up with answers from 20 years ago. Maybe you'll be able to do that. You actually remember 20 years ago. But
I was around.
Yeah, you were around.
Yeah.
But name me one other than Ryan Tannehill, quarterback who washed out of their rookie location because they weren't good enough and then found success somewhere else. Name one other than Ryan Tannehill. He's the only one. Name one other. How are the ones who are in that scenario now looking? Sam Darnold, how is he looking? How did that go? Poorly. How about Carson Failure? Jury's still out, but they don't look that great. Jameis Winston, how is that going in New Orleans? They have a 4-2 record, but it's certainly not because of him. Oh. He looks awful.
Yeah.
And, and then there are people like Josh Rosen and Dwayne Haskins who never even got a second chance. They were supposed to get second chances and they never even received one. So when you wash out of your first location because you suck and you get, we see Brett Favre. We need an example from 30 years ago. Like Drew Brees was a Pro Bowler. It's another one. Drew Brees was a Pro Bowler in one of his years in San Diego at the time.
Rich Gannon is the one that first came to mind. Like
these are 20 years ago.
He started 1987 was his rookie year.
And that's something I think is a big change. That's a big change in today's NFL. That's why I bring up recently, because people don't get a second chance. Mm-hmm. You don't get a second chance like you used to. It used to be the teams would just recycle the same veterans over and over and over again at the quarterback position. Now you don't get a second chance.
Okay. But here's something that I want to say. Here's Jalen Hurts himself.
He sucks. He's terrible. He's terrible.
Wait.
Well, he was terrible.
What about Pittsburgh? Because Mike Tomlin made some comments about wanting a mobile quarterback, looking around the league and a mobile quarterback. I see we have a super chat. You want to go ahead and
I'll pull that in? Oh, I'm so sorry that this is
from an Eagles fan.
I know. Dynasty half PPR. Need a trade idea to potentially get rid of CEH. Good luck with that. Other running backs are CMC, Montgomery, Carter, Gainwell, and Stevenson. Oh boy. Okay. Get rid of CEH. Can I have a ham sandwich?
Is it okay? Let me just ask you this, because sometimes we think certain positions should have more value than they do. I think Green Bay's wide receiver 2, we've always wanted their wide receiver 2 to be better, for fantasy than it ever has been. Kansas City's wide receiver 2, we want it to be better than it's ever been. It's not ever lived up to what we hope it is, no matter who they put in there. Is it possible that just like running back for Kansas City is just never going to be super valuable when the team turned to Pat Mahomes?
Never was. Kareem Hunt was not that long ago. And then Damian Williams run after that. It was not that long ago. I think that this is a Clyde
Edwards-Helaire has had good games.
Watch this. Let me tell you. The Chiefs are 3-4. Clyde is coming back who knows when. Watch this. Marlon Mack could be on the plane. He could be on the plane this week. On the plane within the next couple of days. Why not be on the plane in a couple of days? Jerick McKinnon as the backup running back. This is it. I mean, it's 3-4. Couple more losses and the season could be over. Marlon Mack could be on the plane to Kansas City. There was a report a week ago that they were interested in Marlon Mack. We know they called. Marlon Mack could be on the plane. And if Marlon Mack goes there, if it was bad before, it would only get worse. So I don't know. It could be very bad. I would try to get rid of CEH immediately for whatever you can get.
I think if you got him on your roster, you're looking at a couple of different things. You're either trying to get a first for him.
Well, that's not going to happen.
And you could offer to literally everybody in your league for him for a first or something if you want to.
That won't happen. So how about something that let's go lower than that.
Okay, so you say that. The reason why I initially brought that up is because I just pulled up the trade finder on DLF. And the very first one from today was a team trading Clyde Edwards-Helaire for a 2022 first-round draft pick.
Wow, well then please go do that immediately. Go do that now. Go offer that now then.
It's a 10-team league and it is Superflex. So it tells you that may be there.
You should offer that because once Marlon Mack is on the plane, then it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late.
Here's Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a second and Tyler Higbee for some reason for James Robinson. Yeah, I would definitely rather have. Here's Edwards-Helaire, a second and a third for Aaron Jones. This is all from this week.
Take Aaron Jones.
Edwards-Helaire for Rashad Bateman. Edwards-Helaire and a fourth for Miles Sanders.
Was that before Miles Sanders got hurt?
This is the 21st. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing that now.
Yeah. Let's see.
I don't want more of Miles' failure. We don't need him.
What about Edwards-Helaire for Justin Fields?
In one QB? No, thank you.
Here it is in one. Let's see.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It is this is Superflex.
Well, then I want Justin Fields easily.
5 days ago, so before this past week. But
that's mind blowing to me that deal happened. I would take Justin Fields easily.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, that's someone we need to talk about.
But honestly, like looking at the rest of the running back room here, you might need to trade other running backs too.
We have a lot of problems here.
Yeah,
I mean, Stevenson is his dynasty value is gone.
Yeah.
And then there are other issues. Gainwell maybe now could have an opportunity. Carter, I just don't think Carter is the long-term starter there. He's a sell for me. Mm-hmm. Montgomery, I'm worried. The workhorse Montgomery, I think, is gone forever. I think now we're going to go back to committee Montgomery.
Perfect. Good.
Very good.
Looked
I don't
really
think
good.
that I just don't imagine that they're going to go back to 80-90% Montgomery. That would make no sense. Why would
The
they
thing
do
is,
that?
Montgomery looked good too. I like
I
at
didn't
the
say he
beginning
looked
of the
bad.
year.
I just don't see the point in putting Herbert on the bench and only playing a couple of snaps per game. I just don't think that that's going to happen. I
Not
think
with
that
what he
Herbert's
showed.
going to see a complimentary role.
Well,
He
and
earned
hey,
it.
isn't that a great example of Sermon got an opportunity? Wouldn't you have liked to have seen him do that? Like if he did that and people wanted to get on his
Sermon is a bust.
that's what I'm saying. Like, look at the difference. Herbert gets an opportunity against the Bucks. You can't get a worse matchup, and he looks awesome and obviously earns more opportunities. That's not what happened with Sermon.
I mean, Sermon is done.
Yeah.
You don't. There's really no reason to talk about him. Honestly, he's not worth talking about.
People want to talk about him.
They can want to,
Just
but
like
they're wasting the people's time.
Just like I found out, apparently people want to talk about and defend Cam Newton based on me saying that the status update for Cam Newton right now is that a team would rather give up something for Joe Flacco than sign him as a free agent.
Cam Newton is done. I mean, come on. We know this.
Okay, let's go back. Good. Kind of what we're talking about here. Running backs.
Can't with Myles Gaskin.
What on earth happened to Myles Gaskin?
With Gaskin? I mean,
you mean like Duke Johnson's backup is who we're talking about?
No, I wouldn't say that. But
just kidding,
man.
Just kidding, Addison. Don't fire me.
Gaskin, it is what it is this year, but this Dolphins 2022 starter is not on this roster. And we know that.
And I think we have to start saying like Flores is as untrustable as people think Kyle Shanahan is, because we came into last year thinking Howard and Breida were going to start, and Gaskin ends up.
Flores is not a good. I thought he was a good coach, but I've changed my mind.
Yeah,
not a fan.
Yes, unfortunately, it appears that way right now.
It's not just because of his usage of the running backs. There are other issues.
Henry says a lot of wins and a lot of losses. Oh, for his teams. Come on, Henry. No, I'm just
give us something, Henry. A lot of wins and a lot of losses. What does that even mean? I would hope so with 100 leagues.
Yeah, Craig, I would really try for a first, even if I had to add something.
Mitchell.
2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you give up a first for Mitchell?
No. I don't do that.
Would you give up 2 seconds for him?
If I needed him, but probably not.
Armando says, I'm in year 2 of a rebuild, and someone in my league put Kadarius Toney on the trade block. Should I make an offer? And what would you think would be a fair trade to offer?
I mean, you could always make an offer, but what would be fair? I mean, someone older. Like if Kadarius Toney is on a but Kadarius Toney could be good the rest of the year. I mean, someone older who you don't want. I mean, who meets that criteria? Mike Evans. Trade Mike Evans for Kadarius Toney plus.
Armando, if you're still here, what round did Kadarius Toney get drafted in? Because if someone's putting him on the block, then either A, they have some stack team and they're just trying to flip value or something like that, or this is someone who was kind of in a position like 3rd round. There was nobody had taken him yet. He was kind of forced to make the pick, but doesn't really believe in him and wants to see if he can get something for him.
It's less that. It's more, if you're in a rebuild, you're probably not going to offer picks for Kadarius Toney. So what players do you have that you want to move off of? And how can we combine that with Kadarius Toney? You have to have someone old. You have someone older who's going to be more useful to a contender than Kadarius Toney is.
So
like Mike Evans.
Going back to my trusty trade finder here on dynastyleaguefootball.com, which you can access if you have a membership. Kadarius Toney yesterday was traded in this league for Jalen Reagor, Dawson Knox, and a 2023 second.
Tony.
Okay, here we go. Tony and Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Darrell Henderson and Marquez Callaway.
Tony and Clyde.
Yeah.
Callaway's worth nothing. So
mostly carried by Tony there. Here is, you wouldn't want to do this one if you were a rebuilder here. Let's see. It also probably depends on what this Tony, the person that has Tony, like what situation are they in? Like, I probably want to look and see, are they competing? Yeah. Where are they in the league?
But really, when making suggestions, when bringing in questions like this, it might help if you talk about some of the players that you have that you want to get rid of.
Yeah. Alex says Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Eckler.
There's another Clyde. Well, okay. Yes, I would like Eckler. And second, we're not buying Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So, but just take that out of your mind. Do not buy Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Sounds like you would sell him for a second. So I feel like I would definitely want him for a second.
No, I wouldn't sell him for a second because I know that's taking a value loss. And have I ever talked about the 2 keys model on here? Or did I talk about that on my channel?
No.
It's probably not something I would have talked about on here.
Yeah, tell me.
I'll talk about it now because it's a good thing. So when I do a trade, and whenever I'm doing a trade, they have to be 2 keys that are turned. This is how I referred to it whenever I explained it. The first key is that I have to actually like the trade. That's obvious, right? It's obvious. I have to like the trade. I have to be happier with what I'm receiving than what I'm giving. But the second key is a little bit more tricky, which is that I have to feel that I'm not losing market value. So I have to turn that key too. I don't do bad market value trades. Where I win, usually, and you can call it winning, but this is what I call it, is I take advantage of people who like to bet against the market and bet against consensus, and they think that they're better. And I very aggressively take advantage of those people. And, I'm like a vulture or, a predator as a dynasty manager. I don't usually go out on a limb because I won't take a bad value trade. So when you're saying I would sell CH for a second, maybe I would actually prefer to have a second, but I wouldn't do it because it's a bad market value trade. I want to take a trade that's good market value. So I'll hold out for market value. I'm fine going even. I don't want to take a loss. And that's a loss market value. So I won't do that. So
I like that. That's
my trading philosophy. That's what I'll walk you through, like on Patreon or in other places.
Okay, so if somebody comes back and says like, okay, that's based on market value right now, but that's going to change. So if somebody's like, no, that's the price, and that's, are you walking away from it even if you do love the other side and you think in 3 weeks that side's gonna have more value?
Yes, because I never only have one other manager to deal with. I have 10 others other than that one. I'm well known for being extremely ruthless.
Yeah.
I'll work on 10 deals at once for one player and just accept the one that goes first. I don't care. Like that sounds ruthless, but that's how I am. So I'll never just accept it just because I feel cornered, because you're never cornered.
Right.
You always have other options. So you shouldn't. And that's a very actually important thing for people to learn. You never have to feel pressured into making a trade. It's always okay to walk away from a deal. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like you're getting value, just turn it down and move on. Sometimes the best deals are the ones you don't make, myself included. I've often tried to make deals that I kind of was a little not so great, not so in on. And then I look back a few weeks later and I'm like, oh, I'm really happy I didn't do that. There may have been some with Jamar Chase, for example. I was like, I'm really happy I didn't do that. I didn't want to trade him.
Yeah, it's always interesting if you go back and look at trades that you rejected, from earlier in the offseason,
where you were on the fence.
Yeah,
and you do a sigh of relief. It's I didn't accept that.
Right.
No, this happens to me all the time. That's why I always say it's okay to walk away. You never know. If you don't really feel confident in the trade, don't do it.
Right.
You should feel confident in the trades that you make.
What about Emmanuel Sanders and a second or Rashad Bateman for a
Rashad Bateman no matter what. Rashad Bateman no matter what. This is just not enough. Just not enough. I mean, he's shown a little bit in a couple of games. Now he was a first-round pick. He's shown a bit. Now to sell him for this is just a little. Now, I did say I would love to sell Rashad Bateman because there are some people, and this is exactly what I was talking about, is people who just bet against the consensus and bet against the odds. And they're Rashad Bateman. They say Rashad Bateman is my rookie wide receiver too. I don't care that Jalen Waddle has produced far more and is in a far better situation. It's just, I don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't care. Rashad Bateman is still my rookie wide receiver too. And to those people, what I would love to do is take advantage of them and turn Rashad Bateman into Hollywood Brown plus, or turn Rashad Bateman into Kadarius Toney plus, or the best one would be Rondale Moore plus, if I could somehow pull that off. Like, yeah. I would love to take advantage of those people, but this is not taking advantage of them. This is taking a below market deal for a player that everyone always casts me as a Rashad Bateman hater, but that's just because I don't believe he's the second coming. I like Rashad Bateman. It just seems like anytime I ever talk to anyone, I'm talking to someone who likes him more. That's all.
Yes. Interesting to see Marquise Brown with Rashad Bateman. Last week, it was kind of like, Rashad Bateman comes in and leads the team in targets
for Hollywood.
But then week 7, of course, Marquise Brown just has his 14 targets, which is crazy.
Yeah. Like I said, I would still prefer to have Hollywood in Dynasty. And certainly rest of season, but also Dynasty, I'd prefer to have Hollywood.
Yeah. Really, Truther comes back. That's how I feel. Tyler first. Feel too low. Don't want to trade him. Was approached, so just got me thinking. Yeah, that's
you're probably not going to find a trade that I like for Lamar. So just keep him.
It's hard to pass up.
Quarterbacks are very hard to find in Superflex. If you have one, you probably don't want to get rid of them. Those are the players you build around. Those are the first things you add to your team in a rebuild. So those are the players you don't want to get rid of.
I agree. Dynasty League Football. This was you saying, saying you're a Patreon. So if you have that, that is a way you can go.
Surprised that I was able to get patreon.com/fantasy advice.
Pretty good one.
I bring that up a lot, but I can't believe that was available.
Pretty good one to get. Pandora's Box. Yo, my boys, Acres owners, and the news is nice. Do you think I should hold him long term or sell high right when he comes back? Interesting that there's a chance he could play this year. I still say no.
Chance he could play this year.
I still say no.
That? Who said that? That's ridiculous. There's no way he's going to play this year.
There are cases being made.
No. Don't listen to any of that. He's not playing this year. But
from smart people. But
it's bullshit.
I still doubt it.
He's not playing this year. Yeah. He should be, but given the news, he should be a full go for training camp 2022. And that's what matters, right? So, what you do is at this point, you don't sell him. The only reason you would sell him is if you were a contender and you needed to break the piggy bank to get a player you needed to use now. That's why you would sell him. But given the tone of this question, it doesn't sound like that's the case. So no, I would certainly hold him. And then, when he comes back, see what his consensus value is, see where people value him. If it's too high, I'd be fine selling. If it's low, then I'd hold. But for now, definitely hold. 100%.
I haven't gotten an offer for him. I
haven't seen him
the idea of trading him.
I haven't seen him moved in any league. So generally the person who had him this offseason, Akers' value spiked wildly. So often, basically, he was in the hands of an Akers truther in almost every league. So
we're not going to be able to Tyler Boyd.
Well, I would much rather have Akers. Tyler Boyd is worthless essentially at this point.
Somebody must have been desperate during the bipocalypse.
Well, it's nobody that we know could have possibly said that Tyler Boyd was going to be worthless this year. We wouldn't know anyone who said that, would we?
AJ, oh heck yeah, it's Tuesday. Good to see you, fellas. You forgot Taco Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday, AJ.
I'm really coming in hot today. I don't know why.
Here you go. You can keep being hot right here. Alec says, any interest in Brandon Ayuk and Sermon? What's acceptable price for them if I'm rebuilding, taking a chance on them as a contender?
I'll be honest. I'm not going to waste the people's time by talking more about Trey Sermon.
What about Ayuk?
There's nothing to talk about. He's worthless. So let's talk about Ayuk though, because Ayuk is not worthless.
Hey,
Ayuk,
I agree.
Is someone. No, but I'm very concerned. But he's not worthless.
Right.
He's a first-round wide receiver. I don't think his career is over. With that said, I'm probably not buying Ayuk. I've probably lowered him more than the person who has him. So the odds that I would buy Brandon Ayuk are low. So probably just someone I'm avoiding. Holding if I had him already. But I would have sold him already. So there's no way I could already have him. And the only way I could have Brandon Ayuk now is if I inherited a Patreon team in the last 3 weeks. Then I could somehow have Brandon Ayuk. But I've been saying no to acquiring him all season. So.
Yeah, there's talent in there, man. I just don't know.
Don't just dump him for nothing, though.
Yeah.
Don't dump Ayuk for nothing. You should make sure to hang on to him. But I mean, at this point in redraft, you can just drop Ayuk. Actually, I said you have to drop Ayuk. He's a must drop in redraft.
Yeah.
Don't waste it. Do not waste. These two are both must drops in redraft. Don't waste your time on these two.
How much is Fab worth in terms of draft picks? Is 100% of Fab worth a third? Good question.
Yeah, I would say that's about right. More or less. Depends on how deep your league is, how often I'll get that super chat in a sec. But depends on how deep your league is, how often valuable players go on the waiver wire. If it's a very deep league, Fab is worthless. Mm-hmm. If it's not, then Fab could be worth a lot. But generally, a third is going to be better than any player on waivers in any Dynasty league. So yeah, I would pay 100% of Fab for a third in almost any format. Unless you have $1 minimum bids in a relatively shallow league. Because then I don't want to be without any bids for the whole year just to get a third. But assuming you have $0 bids, then sure. But
this is why I don't mind being aggressive with my Fab in terms of like if players on the waiver wire suddenly get value that I can go grab and maybe trade them for a draft pick. That is, I don't mind being more aggressive at the beginning of the year with my Fab for that purpose.
Assuming most people in Dynasty leagues I find don't actually check the waiver wire. So assuming there's $0 bids, I'm very aggressive with. Actually, that's something I definitely think I could work on. I think I need to be even more aggressive than I am. I think I'm still too conservative. I don't know why. I don't know why I never seem to be able to fix this personally, but I still just don't bid enough. And then I end up with Fab. I always end up with Fab at the end of the year. So again, yeah. I mean, I'm always willing to admit that I'm not perfect. Like I'm not the best, at everything. And that's definitely something that I've been trying to work on for years and somehow still have not been able to find the right balance. But
you're perfect to us, Tyler. All right, pull up that.
I appreciate that. But it also helps. No, a lot of people have told me things like that. And I'm always like, I'm just a person like everyone else. I'm human. I make mistakes too.
Put your pants on one leg at a time, like everyone else.
Oh my God. All right. From Armando. The Tony owner is currently 3-11. Okay, so this is a follow-up to what we were talking about before. His wide receivers are Brown. It's AJ Brown, Chark, Conley, Peoples-Jones, and his are Claypool, Pringle, Rager, Raymond, and Higgins. So if the Tony owner is currently 3-11, I'm very confused why they're putting Tony on the block. And I guess it makes sense if they don't believe.
This is why I wondered if he just sort of stumbled into and like doesn't necessarily believe in Tony, but took him like first pick of the third round because he fell so far and was just like, oh, I got to get him.
I mean, the problem is you don't really have any wide receivers that are helpful in making a trade here. I mean, Raymond and Pringle are worth nothing at all. Rager is getting there. Higgins, assuming that's T. Higgins, is worth way more than Kadarius Toney, and Claypool's worth even more. So if it's
Rashad Higgins,
well, then he's worthless. So
completely worthless.
None of these receivers are really helping me make a deal for Tony. You don't have what I would want, which is someone old like Mike Evans or even Mike Williams.
Yeah.
Or Keenan Allen. And the Tony manager is not a contender. So you don't even have that angle. I don't know what draft picks you have, but probably my recommendation to you would just be to offer a couple of second round picks for Tony. And if it's declined, just move on.
I would start with offering Rager in a second.
That I feel like that won't work.
It might not, but if my gut is right that whoever it is trying to get rid of him because at 311 getting rid of Tony makes no sense. So if this guy that put him on the block,
I did it. I did it. I traded Tony for a first, Tony and a third for a first in tanking team. I did it
for a first, sure, and maybe that's what this person's hoping.
Maybe that's what this person. I suspect that you're going to struggle to make a deal here, but either you can try Rager in a second. I don't think that has much of a chance of being accepted. You could try what I said, 2 seconds. I think that has a better chance of being accepted, but my guess is you're going to end up walking away from this and not making a deal, personally. And that's fine. Like I said before, nothing wrong. There's going to be lots of opportunities. You can acquire every single player in the ecosystem. If you can't get Tony in this league, maybe you'll get him in another league or you get another player here. It's all good.
Is Khalif Raymond good?
No, he's whatever.
Like, he had a pretty good game. And
I don't care. It's like, I'm not interested. I traded him away today. So
did you? What'd you get?
Well, I traded Raymond in a 5th for a 4th. So clearly, I don't think anything of him. I have time for this stuff.
Okay, we appreciate that, Armando. Thank you for the super chat. And if you are watching this and we are not getting to your question fast enough, you can always do the same thing that Armando did and do a super chat. We really appreciate it, and so does Addison and all of the great people at DLF. Tony or Tanya, I appreciate you. I don't think I've seen a question from Tanya here in a little while.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, glad to see you in here. Running backs are Clyde, Kareem Hunt, Javonte, J-Rob Dixon. Would you trade 2 firsts? Well, we'll see. Plus a 3rd, plus CEH for Swift.
Man, yes. Yes.
I think the value is fine, but I don't know that you need to.
You're not going to get him for less.
But do you need to? If these are your running backs, like, is that where you need to go?
I'll take Swift. I'll take Swift whether I need to or not.
I like, from a value standpoint, yes, this is good value.
Yeah, especially if those firsts are on the later side, like you said, then this is a good deal for sure.
But I don't know that that's what I would do with this team, unless you've just got studs all over the place.
We don't know. This team could have Kyler, Josh Allen, Pitts, and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. We don't know. It could have all of those things. So then maybe it would be a great idea.
To that point, if you don't, and you could, instead of getting Swift, if you could get Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, you do that. Right?
Yeah, but I don't have any problem getting Swift. You can't trade for Jamar Chase. That's a waste of time. But this offer would be laughed off if it were sent for Jamar Chase.
Like our guy Spence saying today, would you rather have Jamar Chase or 11, 20, 22 first?
Like, I'd rather have 11 firsts. But I appreciate the idea.
No doubt. Matt says, where are we ranking Kadarius Toney? A lot of Tony talk today.
I ranked him at like wide receiver. I think it was like 34 last week. Not much has changed. Somewhere in the low 30s.
That's fair.
Yeah.
He's got some helium that he could get higher.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with him.
Really, truther, tell her you're smarter than me. That's always a great way to get your question answered. Is
Tyler has an ego. It's true.
General question: when you draw the line, if you're ranked 4th through 6th-ish, but maybe top 3 in points, for if you should keep contending or white flag till next season and rebuild?
Well, I typically pull the plug earlier than most, but if you're in the playoff picture, I typically pull the plug faster than others is if I just get off to a bad start, I usually just pull the plug. I usually don't try to fight it. But in this case, you're doing well. So why wouldn't you keep contending? You're in the playoff area. Like, if you're in the playoffs, I usually don't pull the plug.
No,
I usually pull the
can
plug
happen
if I'm not doing well. top 3 in points. So yeah, don't pull the plug on this.
No, this isn't a team to pull the plug on.
Yeah, if you're in a position to win, I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs. You could go, 3 straight. There was one league I was in at some point where I had 2 straight seasons where like an even regular season record, but it was 6-0 in the playoffs and won 2 titles in a row, but my team wasn't actually really any good.
Right.
So anything can happen. I've also had teams where, I've gone 3 seasons with like 5 losses combined and no titles. So you never know what's going to happen.
I always think skill gets you into the playoffs and luck gets you a championship.
That's part of it. But either way, no, don't pull the plug on this team. Not if you're top 3 in points now.
Craig says he got Mitchell in the 4th and in a rebuild. So he wants to flip him.
So he turned the 4th into 2 seconds. I mean, that's good. I'd rather do that over no deal at all.
But doesn't it go against what you said, though? Like, if you're thinking about value, it goes against what you're saying to even worry about the fact that you got him in the 4th?
Well, no, I mean, I think on value, I think on value, Mitchell is not actually worth more than that.
Yeah.
As in, you'll find it in a super flex. You'll actually find it difficult. Yeah. Could you probably get a first from somebody for Mitchell? Yes. Mm-hmm. In some situations, maybe. But the average market value of a person your average dynasty manager on Mitchell is not a first. It's probably around 2 seconds. So
yeah,
so market value is like a wash, and I think I'm getting a win. So those are also the kind of deals I like to make. If market value is a wash and I think I'm getting a win, those are often trades I often end up making.
Yep, I'm with you. We just got another super chat. You want to pull that up?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. It's just thanking us.
Thank you, Ridley Truther. I really appreciate the support. No question here, just for previous million questions. Always
we appreciate that. I know I might seem cranky today and on a lot of the time, but I really do appreciate everyone who tunes into the show. I mean, this show wouldn't be anything without all of you in the chat, right? I mean, you guys and are what makes this show. You're what makes this show this show.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you. I really do.
Absolutely. So really appreciate that. Thank you, really Truther. Appreciate you tuning in. And kind of always, I feel like a bunch of the shows that I go on, like I see you in the chat, and I really appreciate.
Yeah, it was mentioned in the chat of Trade Addicts, I believe.
Yeah. So Dustin comes back. So this is the deal where he traded Hurts for first and Rondale Moore. For context on the Jalen Hurts deal, still have Dak, Allen, and Mac Jones on a 4-3 team.
I'm fine with that then.
Yeah.
Although if you're contending, but Hurts, you weren't really starting him. I'm fine with it.
Well, yeah, I guess you're starting Dak and Allen.
Dak and Allen. You don't need him.
And now both are out of their bye week, right? So good timing.
Yeah. So I guess so. Yeah, I guess it's fine.
Yep. Just flipped. Really Truther PS just flipped Eli, Mitch, and Bob Woods for a 2022 first. And Waddle.
What?
Woo,
congratulations.
I agree.
Because I'd rather have Waddle over those two by himself.
Yeah.
Let alone with the 2022 first. So
Bobby Trees, man. Bobby Trees.
Yeah.
Fall from grace.
Yeah, how the mighty have fallen, but that's a monster trade. Those are the kind of trades that help you rebuild teams very quickly.
You can make deals
like that.
Topical, great question. A little off topic, but Cal, what do you accept in exchange for Brady's 600th touchdown pass? I love it, Tyler. I want to hear your thoughts.
I'll sell it. I don't know. What can I get? $500,000 probably is what's worth.
What the guy got in return is like amazing. Like I would absolutely do that. But the thing
for me, tickets, Bitcoin.
He got a Bitcoin. He got like tickets and a helmet or something or whatever it is. But like, okay, I guess to some level, I want to make sure I point out the guy did nothing to get this ball, right? Like it's not like he worked hard and got it.
Yeah, Evans just gave it to him.
So I don't feel like in that position, I'd feel like I deserved or was owed something. Like a home run that you catch, at least like you got to do some work to go get that ball. Like this guy just stood there cheering and Mike Evans handed him a football.
Sometimes in life, it's not what you deserve. It's just how lucky you are.
I just don't know. I don't like the idea of holding it ransom. I know I've seen a lot of people saying that and doing that. And I don't know. I don't love the idea of holding it ransom.
It would feel bad. I mean, look, what the guy got is pretty good.
What the guy got is amazing.
I'll take it.
So I would be willing to accept whatever Tom Brady felt like he wanted to give me. That's what I would do. Matt, Carson Wentz, Brett Favre, these are people that washed out in their first.
I mean, Carson Wentz, the jury is still out, right? I mean, he washed out of Philly because they didn't like him because he wasn't good enough. And now here he's fine. He's fine. I mean, yeah, Brett Favre, that's a
I don't know that he washed out of Atlanta. Like they traded him.
Well, Brett Favre never played in Atlanta. He never had a chance. It's not like he was bad.
I don't really consider that a washout.
No, a washout is someone who got a chance to start, failed, and then never got another one. I don't know if that quite counts.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say that. Did Drew Brees wash out? He's a Pro Bowler. I mean,
it's weird. He washed out, then got one chance to be the bridge starter, and then was really good. And then the Chargers had a problem, and the Saints gave him a ridiculous contract in free agency. So I guess I don't know if you would call that a washout because he stole the job back from Phillip Rivers, and then it was an injury that actually caused the Chargers not to re-sign him.
Definitely a good example of someone who played, like who was a good player that just didn't have the right start.
But he was a Pro Bowler in 2004 and the comeback player of the year on his original team. You know, I'm talking about players who've just completely failed. Even Carson Wentz doesn't really qualify. Carson Wentz was bad as a rookie, then good for multiple years, and then bad again. You know, we're talking about people. I'm more talking about people who were never good. Like Jameis Winston was never good. You know, Sam Darnold.
He was a good fantasy player, but
no, we're not talking about fantasy.
People would take fantasy. People would not like you saying that. But he is a good example of somebody who put up numbers and therefore got another chance.
I'm talking about people who weren't good. People who weren't good, who were failures for their first team. Carson Wentz was such a failure that he earned a $100 million extension. Like Carson Wentz isn't even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like Sam Darnold, like Josh Rosen, these kind of players who just completely failed in their first location, but then got somewhat of a second chance. And really, Ryan Tannehill wasn't as that bad compared to like Sam Darnold. Like if Tua or Hurts were to move on after what they've done in years 1 and 2, there isn't really a recent example of anyone doing that and then succeeding
We're
later.
Much less patient now, I think, is part of that problem.
We is the NFL. The NFL is much less patient now.
The NFL is much less patient.
Not me. I'm less patient now as a fantasy manager because I'm adapting to what the NFL is doing. That's why all the examples are from 25 years ago.
Right.
Because the NFL has changed. You don't get 5 years to establish yourself. You get like 2. So, you know, now we're already talking about moving on from Tua. We're already talking about moving on from Hurts after like 12 starts. In the past, you would get years.
Yeah. This is a great example. Steve Young was absolutely atrocious in Tampa, Hall of Famer.
But again, you know, in today's NFL, Steve Young probably never gets a second chance.
Mitch Trubisky was a Pro Bowler too. 1 Pro Bowl doesn't matter. Do you think there are Chicago fans right now that are like, I knew we shouldn't have gotten rid of Mitch Trubisky?
No, I don't think
that's happening. Somebody called into a Chicago sports radio show and said that this week. I guarantee you.
Drew Brees' 2004 season, go look it up, was actually very good. Unlike any of Trubisky's seasons.
Carson Wentz has been great this year so far, especially considering he had a foot surgery.
No, he has not. No, he has not. He has not been great. That is false. That is ridiculous. That's not true. It's just wrong. He has not been great. He's been okay.
He hasn't been turning the ball over as much, which is good.
He's been okay.
Yeah.
He also, that interception he threw on Sunday night was just credited as a fumble. The one that he gave it to, it was so bad that it was credited as a fumble. So, you know, believe me, I remember that, and I'm counting that one against him as a turnover. That was his fault. So, he has already 4 fumbles, and he has a fumbling problem. In his career, he has a fumbling problem. But no, I mean, he's been okay. He's been fine.
His passing numbers are good.
No, he's not bad. I mean, he's been fine. I wouldn't say he's been good. I mean, they're 3-4. He's certainly, like I said, he's been okay. He's been passable. He's not really the reason they're 3-4. But if he were, if he were great, they would probably have a better record. But he hasn't been as bad as he was last year.
Josh misses Carson Wentz, I believe, and
he's
says,
been better than Jalen Hurts. I mean, Carson Wentz has been a better real life quarterback than Jalen Hurts. It's not even close. So, that I agree with. That's very clear.
So is there something to him being back with Frank Reich? Like, do we think that's...
No, it's just that Jalen Hurts has been so bad for real life. Real life, he's been awful. Awful. Jalen Hurts is not prepared to be an NFL quarterback. He's not prepared. He is not prepared to be an NFL quarterback. Carson Wentz is at least okay.
Wentz is also being pressured more at the Colts than he was at the Eagles.
Teams just don't accept...
much better offensive line too.
Yeah, I think he was pressured a lot last year. I mean, last year he had 50 sacks in 12 games. You think he's been pressured more this year? That's incorrect. You're wrong about that. That is wrong. He has not been pressured more this year. He was literally under pressure. Now, some of it was his fault running into pressure last year, but he was pressured among the most of quarterbacks last year. He had 50. He led the league in sacks despite only playing 12 games. So he was under fire last year consistently. No, he's been better than probably I expected him to be, but he hasn't been good, and teams don't accept okay. But I will say that I think Carson Wentz has earned the 2022 starting job. I think he will be the Colts starter. I think he's earned his second year, because that's the guaranteed money, really. When the Colts were trading for him, they knew that he had $20 million coming in 2022, and they knew this was really, unless it was a complete disaster, this was a 2-year experiment. And I think that he's been good enough that they're not going to move on to someone else. He will be their 2022 starter, and he'll get one more chance to see if he can really be good. And if he's just okay, if he's just this, they will move on after 2022.
We're coming up on the hour mark, so I'm going to have to be a little bit more picky about what I pull up, because we're way behind in our questions right now. But if I missed something, go ahead and make sure I give it again, just in case I missed one. Josh Murrow, should I take Gaskin and a second for Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Gaskin's like worth nothing. No. Gaskin's not worth anything.
10-team PPR, Jefferson and 2 firsts for CD, Ayuk, and Cam Akers. 1 first is probably top 4. Others probably bottom 3.
The Jefferson side then. I'll just take that's the safe side. So I'll just take that side.
We talked a lot about CEH. They hit on Carson Wentz. It's not really. Go watch his year last year. If you think it's just...
he was the worst quarterback last year. He was so bad.
Atrocious. Sure, maybe he bounced back, but ignoring the fact that he was that bad last year is, I mean, you can talk about the people around him all you want, but he was bad.
I mean, I think really the reality is that the Carson Wentz from 2018 and 2019 is probably the real thing, which is okay. It's fine. You can win with that guy if your team around him is perfect, but just okay.
Love the conversation going on here. Yeah, we talked a lot about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so I am going to... Yeah, Josh loves Michael Carter long term.
Yeah, I wouldn't if I were you. I mean, the Jets have an extra second-round pick next year. They have a lot of cap space. The odds that Carter, a 4th rounder, is their 2022 starter, to me, is less than 25%. So,
yeah.
I mean, they have nothing in the backfield. I mean, Tevin Coleman was on a 1-year deal. He obviously didn't work out. Ty Johnson is, his contract is up. I think he was signed off the waiver wire.
Yeah.
And then, he hasn't done anything. And LaMichael Pirine, they don't even want to get him on the field. So they need another running back there. And Carter in college was a timeshare back. I mean, he was a secondary back. He should be a secondary back. And no. So I actually Carter's a hard sell for me. I think he's more of a backup.
Yes, and I do worry, as Ed says, he could get buried next year. But also, I feel like the Jets are going to have more pressing needs and hope they don't pull a Jaguars.
We say this every year. Carter's not actually that. What has Carter done to earn being the starter? He's just been fine.
Yeah.
You can improve on him. You can
Henry, look, Henry, you're way smarter than me. He says that the Houston Chronicle report on Wednesday, the Dolphins and Texans have agreed to terms on a trade for Deshaun Watson.
The Houston Chronicle has reported a lot of things.
This is the thing. At some point, I need somebody to do a thorough breakdown of everything that's happened with these rumors and all these reports, because this is the weirdest story I can remember.
The Chronicle reports a lot of things, and none of those really, during this whole saga, none of those things have actually come to fruition. So
they haven't come to fruition. Were they real?
Where did they come from? How many times has the deal been imminent and then not happened? Like, how about this? When the trade actually goes through, then we'll talk about it more. But this is just a rumor. I don't buy it.
Every angle broken down. Like, I would love to do the interviewing of the people involved. Whoever.
Well, I'd love to talk to the reporters at the Chronicle.
These rumors out there, like, feeling like they're verified enough to talk about them. Like, Houston Chronicle is not a nothing. Like, they're not
verified because they've talked about them a zillion times, and then the deal is imminent. The deal is imminent. The deal is imminent. And
but they've been tricked somehow, or there's been all these like background, like, I don't know. I want somebody to really go in who can get all the answers.
I kind of feel like I'm in a boy who cried wolf scenario here. It's like,
it's so
they said the deal is imminent 100 times. At this point, I'm not going to believe it until I see it. I just want to see the deal actually happen. And then we talk about it. Then we discuss it. But I'll believe it when I see it at this point. I'm tired of the rumors. I really am.
I every week love this comment. Adam says, Cal and Carp, the homies. What's up, Adam? Appreciate you tuning in and giving us that little moment where we can smile. Josh Morrow, he's talented, but that offense needs to get it.
Who's talking about
Carter.
I
believe so.
Carter's a timeshare back, though. He was timeshare back in college. It's not going to be a workhorse in the NFL. So,
Sorry. Pictures getting here earlier tonight. Appreciate that. Glad you're here.
We appreciate you.
Ed says,
I saw that too, but again, he has to be traded first, and who knows if that's going to happen. So why don't we wait to see if that's going to happen?
I moved Mixon recently, says P2 Thar. You said to move him for Rondale Moore and a first. Didn't get the chance to offer that because I traded him and a couple of fourths for a 2022 and a 2023 first.
So essentially, instead of Rondale Moore, you gave up a couple of fourths to get a 23 first. I'm not sure that I'm that much more excited by that. I guess. I mean, the 23 class is very strong. I always say those are Bijan Robinson lottery tickets. Even in
I like the idea of Mixon for 2 first.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a rebuild, it's better than holding Mixon. So if this is what you can get, this is what you could get.
Kevin checking in. What's up, guys? What's up, Kevin? And I love it. I always love these like comments that are just like everybody talking.
I love that too. I love that too.
John Sharkey, would you consider moving Waller at this point?
I mean, I was kind of saying to move Waller the whole time. Now his value's kind of gone down, and I'd probably hold Waller. He's injured now. I mean, now's not a time to move Waller. Tight end is so brutal that the second he comes back in the lineup, his value is going to go back up because people need tight ends, high-end tight ends really badly. So right now, I would absolutely not move Darren Waller.
Do we have an ETA on when he'll be back?
I mean, they said he was day-to-day, so I expect... I mean, he was close. I think if this had been a playoff game, he would have played. So that's kind of what it seemed like to me.
Mm-hmm.
But with the bye week coming up, they chose to play it safe. So I fully expect him to play in week 9. But as of now, I would not trade Darren Waller at this very moment. I think it's a bad time. People felt a little burned this weekend. So not right
now. Noah, we don't usually do start-sit questions. I will just say that if these are your options, like you probably can't make a wrong choice. Like,
I mean, I'm going to send Antonio Brown to the bench coming off an injury for sure.
me too. But like, this is a good problem to have right here, Noah. You're doing great.
I agree with you, but
You're
it
killing
would
it.
easily be send Antonio Brown to the bench. If it were AJ Brown, then this would be a much harder decision.
Right. Oh, that's true. I guess. Well, he
No,
probably
AD is Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin, 12 teams who reflects before week 7 traded Mahomes and Cooper for Watson, Jamar Chase, and 2 top 4 2022 first.
Wow. Wow. Well, I'd rather have Watson than Amari. And by a good amount, actually. And then, I don't really want Amari Cooper.
That's probably true.
And then I would probably rather have
Chase way more than Cooper.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have Chase, and I'd probably rather have Chase in 2 early firsts than Mahomes at this point, even though I love Mahomes. We're starting to get to the point of like ridiculous overpay. So in that case, I'm going to take the Watson side. Not that I want to trade for Watson, but
yeah, Henry, or trade you rejected and wish you took them, like pick 11 for Cup in a 1-2-3 league and pass.
Yeah. Oh,
like that, Henry. That's exactly right.
Yeah, that would be a regret. Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of wish you don't look back at your old trades for that reason. Yeah, Kevin is going for the rebuild and shoot.
Yeah.
My where am I? There we go. Iron Never Lies. Hey, what's up, Iron Never Lies? Appreciate you joining us again. Who would you play on flex this week? Mitchell, Gainwell, Allen, full PPR. Have you done your rankings for this week yet?
I've done them, but not really. Typically, it would be Keenan Allen of these.
Yeah, this is a good question for later in the week for sure, or for Twitter.
Yeah, I do an obsessive number of start-sit threads on Twitter. You can ask me anytime.
Rob's asked, is keep trade cut values a consensus? I feel like it's
that's a website that I know that I've never used and know nothing about, so I can't help you.
Yeah, Ed doesn't like the trade calculator, looks like.
When I say market value, I don't use a trade calculator. What I mean by market value is I consider myself to be pretty tapped in to the Dynasty community, so it's what I think the market value is, not what a trade. I do not use trade calculators. I stopped using them entirely this year. I do everything completely alone. So
yeah,
I've stopped using them, unfortunately, including our own. I use the trade finder, but not the trade analyzer almost ever.
Henry says he should have traded Rager and his late second.
Yes, I definitely would have done that. I would much rather have Akers.
As Trogdor says, make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel already.
He messaged me earlier today.
Hit the thumbs up.
Wishing me good luck and looking forward to the show. That was very nice of him.
Love it.
I appreciate you.
TK, what's up, TK? Superflex, tight end premium. Pitts, Andrews, and Gesicki, okay to start all 3.
If you have a lot of flex spots, yes. I mean, in tight end premium, these are 3. Assuming it's like 1.75, like trade addicts, then yeah. I mean, they would all be weekly starters in most formats. I mean, Pitts and Andrews for sure. Gesicki probably too.
Good question from Craig. In a rebuild, would you move Laviska Shenault for Juju plus? And what would the plus need to be?
No. No.
Tyler's never going to say buy Juju.
No, never. I don't want Juju. The problem is that I don't need 3 years of failure. Actually, no, take that back. 3 years of failure. I don't need 3 years of failure in my life. 3 years of failure and now an injury. I haven't talked about failure a lot on here, but I have 3 years of failure and an injury. I don't need that in my life. So no, absolutely not.
Unless the plus is something I would trade straight up for Laviska Shenault, I'm not doing this.
Juju has little value to me. I have no interest in him. He is just a fancy version of Tyler Boyd. Nothing more. That's all he is.
Ooh, Ayuk for Hollywood in a second. That's not a bad deal.
I'd rather have Hollywood over Ayuk easily. So give me a second with it.
Let's see.
I'd trade Ayuk in a second for Hollywood.
Yeah.
So
this is talking about trading 20. Our question earlier, good question earlier about trading Fab for.
This really depends on how deep the league is, but 5th rounders are not worth much.
Alec chimes in. Darrell Williams and a late third in 2022 for Will Fuller.
I really want Will Fuller. But honestly, I'm not even that interested in this deal. I would have probably tried to sell Darrell Williams for something else.
Yeah,
I like the idea of selling Darrell Williams, but I don't really want Fuller at all. I guess you could do this, but honestly, I'm really not interested in Fuller. I'm worried about Fuller. There was another report that said he's not going to come back this week. Like, he's really never played this year. I just worry that Fuller's done. So
yeah,
I don't really want to do this deal. Sell Williams for something else.
Mark, what's up, Mark? He was offered Najee, Ruggs, and Herbert for Chubb and Cup. Dynasty. 1 QB. Other running backs are Mixon, Taylor, Adams. My only other great wide receiver. Should I take the deal?
Yeah, I'll take Chubb and Cup there.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's one QB.
Like he's being offered the Najee side, though.
Yeah, so then don't take the offer. I'll take Chubb and Cup.
Deal. Keep
Chubb and Cup.
Keep them.
Cup is my dynasty wide receiver 10, which was unimaginable at the start of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey now, rock on, fellas. Loving the show every week. Appreciate you. Yeah, Josh says Higgins over Claypool.
No, yes. not with how he's been playing lately.
Yes, Josh.
Now, people always tell me the same silly argument. It's the same argument. Oh, he gets targets. Well, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, the targets are not going to come back to him.
Okay, wait. So thinking about Claypool reminds me that we haven't seen PJ in a while, and he has now officially lost the bet that me and him had.
What bet?
So me and PJ bet whether I said if Tyson Williams,
oh my God,
led if by the bye week for Baltimore he led the team in carries, I would drink a Big Mac. I would blend it up in a blender and drink a Big Mac smoothie. If Tyson Williams had the most rushes on the team, he did not. So he was supposed to make a video saying I was the smartest fantasy analyst that he knows, but he disappeared. He ran away. I haven't seen you, PJ. Where are you?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, Mark, QB situation horrible. Darnold, Wentz, and Ryan.
That's pretty bad.
That's not great.
Not good.
Debo or Waddle?
I think I have them very close to each other. Let me check.
That's a good one.
I have Debo 2 spots higher, but I would like Waddle also.
Higgins' target share is insane.
It won't stay that way if he keeps playing the way he's been playing and Chase keeps playing the way he's been playing. The Bengals are not blind. They can see that they're better off throwing to Chase than Higgins. One of those two players is special and the other is just good.
Drew wants to know what he would need to add to get Debo or add to Debo to get Stephon Diggs.
Can I say one more thing about Chase and Higgins? It's like Chase is the next DeAndre Hopkins, and this is what he's done to Higgins and Boyd's value in his first 7 games. Mm-hmm. Imagine what it's going to be like in the next 10.
Do you know that was
couldn't disagree with Josh Moore here.
That was my comp to him. I did
it was my comp too.
I've done very few write-ups about prospects, and I did one about him, and that was my
that's always been my
body control. He's football IQ. It's awesome. Drew says, what more would I need to add Debo to get Stephon Diggs?
I don't want to acquire really Stephon Diggs at this time. So I'm probably not going to be paying what that would take. I mean, what's that going to cost? It's probably still going to cost Debo in a first, and I'm absolutely not doing that.
Yeah, probably too steep for me.
I given my values on Debo and Diggs, the odds are that I'm not making a deal where I'm sending Debo plus for Diggs. Unfortunately.
Should Kevin trade Debo for Waddle in the first?
You can't do that in any league.
No. If you can, Kevin, do it. Yeah.
You can do it, but with how Waddle looked the last couple of weeks, I don't think you're going to be able to do that.
Josh traded Gaskin in a third for Akers.
I love it.
Win.
I love it. How did you do that? That is a steal. I love it. I love that trade. I love it.
Yeah. Let us know how you did that. I
want to know how you pulled that off.
Jeremy says hold Sutton and Judy or try to move one.
You should have told Sutton before now.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, if I'm going to move one, it's Sutton.
Yeah. Ed says the same thing.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine holding
That's
both.
smart.
Fant's the one I want to get rid of more than Sutton.
Ooh, James wants to know if he should trade Travis Etienne for Russell Wilson.
Yes.
Absolutely.
2 QB?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Russell Wilson is worth 5 Travis Etiennes in 2 QB. He is.
Good question from Kevin. You guys are saying
question.
Mitchell is worth 2 seconds, but how many seconds equal a first?
I'm never going to trade a number of seconds for a first. I always want a first. But if you look at the value chart, it's...
But that's why it's so hard. Like,
yeah, I'm never going to do that trade. But
yeah.
But if you want the answer on market value, it's a little bit above 3.
I would never trade
Neither would I.
picks like this outside of it being like, if I'm on the clock and I can trade down in the similar tier from a first
and
to a
you
second,
know what you're getting. Yeah, but
yeah.
But it just in general, I don't do this. But
never.
Yeah, it's somewhere around between 3 and 3.5, and just that's not what the trade calculator will tell you, I'm sure. But that's what I'm telling you as my personal answer. But I always want a first.
Joe wants to know Swift or Harris.
I'll take Harris.
Oh, that's tough.
Not really. I mean, one of those two is a workhorse, and workhorses are hard to find.
Yeah.
It's not that tough for me. It's pretty easy.
I love Swift. Yeah, Kevin agrees with you. Trade Travis Etienne or Najee for Russell Wilson and Dynasty 2 QB league. If you have the option, you're trading Etienne instead of Najee.
Yeah, and I would not trade Najee for Russell Wilson at this point.
Me neither.
I would rather have Najee.
Ed says I'll still take Swift, but they're about equal to me. So
they're not far off. I mean, really, they're my running backs 2 and 3 in Dynasty with Taylor as number 1.
That's James's roster. Swift in a 2022 first.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, if you can get a first with Swift, I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go do that immediately.
McLaurin and Judy or Swift. We got a lot of little.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. I mean, that is a very reasonable trade. If you're a contender, you need the running back badly. I'm okay with taking Swift, but I really, really do not want to. I want the other side. I want the 2 receivers just based on how I play. I'm very high on McLaurin compared to most.
Yes. I'd have to, gosh, the roster.
I'm very high on Judy compared to most.
The roster you'd have to make this move make sense from the McLaurin and Judy side.
The value's about even, though. The trade is fair.
But if you're making this move, you're probably a contender, right? You want to add that. You want to add.
Well, we don't know what side of the move he's making.
No, I know, but I'm just saying from that side, I'd have to. The level of wide receivers I'd have to do this. I just don't know that I would do it. But you're right. Value-wise,
about even, but I like Judy.
So Josh says Wentz is balling.
No, he's not. It's like we must just not be watching the same. We're not watching the same game and not seeing the same thing.
So Ed says Wentz is like QB 18.
Not about fantasy. He just doesn't look that good. He looks fine. To me, he looks fine. He looks passable.
Yeah.
I think, he's fine. He's better than just someone you could pick up off the street or a backup or a random second round quarterback you could get out of college, but he's not a difference maker. He's not going to be someone who leads you to your real life team to a Super Bowl. Like that Wentz, I think is in the past. You know who's QB2? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. Just shows that there can be a disconnect between fantasy and real life. Totally. Gosh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's all about what you define as good. If good is, acceptable, then sure, he's been good. If good is better than 2020, that's not very hard. But good is like, this is really the guy you want as your franchise quarterback. He's not there. Similar to Baker Mayfield. It's like, is Baker Mayfield probably going to retain that job for 2022? Yes. Has he helped them do anything good? No. Very similar.
No. He absolutely has not.
But like I said, I do think Carson Wentz for Superflex people has done enough that I think you can rely on him for a second year next year. So keep that in mind when you're valuing him.
Heineke has outscored Carson Wentz on the year. That's interesting.
That's not a surprise. Like I said, I would, if Carson Wentz is your quarterback 2 in Superflex, you're in trouble. He better be your quarterback 3. At least.
Really true. For 3 games, Sam Darnold was a good answer to that original question from way earlier. But that de-escalated very quickly. Yeah,
Sam Darnold, I don't think is going to be a starter in 2022 at all. Anywhere. I don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback next year.
Wow, he could get flushed, and that would not be a huge surprise. But
I think he will. I am projecting that he will not be a starting quarterback in the league next year. That he will not start week 1, 2022. That's my current projection. Wow. I do not project him to start at that time.
Would you trade Elijah Moore in a second for Jalen Waddle?
Easily, yes. Give me Jalen Waddle. Elijah Moore's done absolutely nothing at all, whereas Jalen Waddle has looked great. So despite relatively poor quarterback play until this week.
Yep.
This week, Tua still had some boneheaded interceptions, but they actually delivered the ball better. But easily Waddle. I mean, I think Waddle has staying power.
Bryce says, what's going on with Nyheim Hines? Traded a 3rd rounder for him.
I talked about this today in my article. That Marlon Mack is just taking just enough to make Nyheim Hines irrelevant. Jonathan Taylor's role, I think, is actually going to stay the same. Because he's the running back 2 on the year, right? I mean, we can't be too unhappy with him. But Nyheim Hines, I think, is going to pick up the extra work that Marlon. I mean, they signed him to a 3-year, $18 million extension, and he's not bad. That one horrific drop last week, notwithstanding, which was really bad. But he,
drops happen.
And he's one of the best receiving backs in the league. I think that when Marlon Mack is dealt, and I do think Marlon Mack actually will be traded, I think you'll see Nyheim Hines get a little bit more usage.
Dustin says, if a guy were dumb enough to try and acquire Pitts in a Superflex tight end premium league right now, what is realistic offer? 3 first or not?
You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time trying to acquire Pitts. You won't. Just try to acquire someone else.
Pitts and Chase are like 2 of the most unacquirable assets right now.
Yeah. Don't waste your time. Just get TJ Hawkinson at a discount instead.
James,
we've done that one already.
Question, Josh, 2018. All right. I'm getting tired of Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Carson Wentz anymore. Right? Carson Wentz, Carson failure, Carson Wentz. We know what I think about. We know what I think about him.
He's fine. Dynasty Superflex, which side do you want? Mahomes at a 3rd or Allen?
Here we are, right? Here we are. People are panicking on Mahomes. I'll take Mahomes.
Me too.
Still. I'll take Mahomes still.
Me too. But Josh Allen, I do think my take from the beginning of the year that Josh Allen and Kyler Murray were in a similar tier looks better.
But I'll still take Mahomes. I have faith.
Matt chimes in. He was promised tacos.
I'll consider it.
Yes. You got Taco Tuesday right here.
I'll consider sending you a taco at my earliest convenience.
Yeah. Ed says Allen in a second. So
Ed's a Bills fan.
I think you're fine with that. Yeah, it is a Bills fan. That's true. I think you're fine with that. It's not.
I mean, I didn't say it was a big deal, but I would take Mahomes.
How about buy low players expecting to produce moving forward? So I guess
Patrick Mahomes. No, seriously, Patrick Mahomes.
Nobody's telling him that.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised. I will tell you that you would be surprised. So Patrick Mahomes, seriously, could be your one opportunity in Superflex leagues to ever acquire Patrick Mahomes. So that is actually my recommendation. If you want me to be serious, as for the player that I would really the most target would actually be Patrick Mahomes. If that's shooting a little bit too high, Rondale Moore has been quiet the last couple of weeks. Definitely someone I still believe in and still want on my team. So that would be another one. And then Michael Gallup is about to come back. I'd like to acquire him now before he gets on the field. So I don't know if that's a buy low because they're not producing, But I'm also there are a couple others, but those are some of them. I'm also I have not completely quit on either Elijah Moore or Terrace Marshall. I haven't quit on them. So if someone's just selling them at a complete discount, those are a couple other players. I still believe in them talent-wise. I've just been disappointed, but if anyone's in super panic mode, those are two players I would be interested in as well.
What about Cordero Patterson?
Oh, that's not a buy low.
But it is because his value is low. I just looked up. He was traded on the trade finder for Ramondre Stevenson and Anthony Schwartz.
Well, I would certainly take Patterson over that.
Yeah, traded here. Him and Hubbard for 2 fourths. That's weird.
Yeah,
there's a couple of
sure. You can
buy it for a second rounder.
Sure, you can buy Patterson.
Yeah, like that. I just think
I have one other.
Okay.
Nico Collins. If people still haven't realized that he's actually looks half decent.
Yeah.
Because no one's paying attention to the Texans. Could be another one.
100% right. Yes.
Yeah.
He's getting work.
He could be someone. Good. He could be someone that I'm interested in. So there's a couple of players.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess because he's saying produce moving forward, I'm assuming he means
he means buy low, someone who hasn't done much
for this year, like can produce for him for this season.
Yeah, I guess. Well, Nico Collins was more can produce moving forward, like in his career.
Right.
Michael Gallup was kind of the same thing. Rondale Moore, I think, will have some games this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes was your answer for who I think is going to still produce this season, who you can buy at a relatively low price compared to what he used to cost.
Yeah, Judy, Gallup, Knox, Ayuk long term. There we go. Nico Collins.
I would say yes to all of those, but I have the most doubt about Ayuk.
In our really true in our trade addicts, group me with Rocky and Russ. Barry Jackson tweeted saying the deal.
No, I've seen this tweet. I've seen this tweet.
But yeah, it's just so weird. It's so weird.
There's just so many people talking about it, so many people reporting things, and then they say the deal is imminent, and then the deal doesn't happen. After the 5th time, are you surprised that I don't believe them now?
I need to understand it. This is one of those someone to get to the bottom of it.
I'd like a summary after the fact of the reporting on all of this, because how did they think the deal was going to happen a zillion times and it never happened?
That's what I want.
So that's what I want to know. So we'll see when it happens.
Investigative journalists, I
can guarantee you that when it happens, we will talk about it. We're not going to leave you hanging. We will talk about it when it happens, but until it happens, it doesn't happen.
It's getting to the point where I kind of want Congress to have a special meeting to
Well, actually they're going to do that. They're going to do that about the Washington emails. They're actually going to do that.
Ooh.
So that could be interesting.
That could be.
No, that's actually that was the news article today. That could be a big deal. Yeah, that could be a very, very big deal.
Jason, hey guys, how do you think the value of T. Higgins and Michael Pittman compare at the moment? If you were building for next year, who would you rather have?
They're comparable.
I think it's very close.
Yeah, I'd rather have Higgins slightly.
I'm surprised to hear you say that. I thought you were more of a Michael Pittman guy.
Not necessarily. The quarterback situation is very much not in his favor. Remember how much I hate Carson Wentz and don't think much of him.
We got to be careful now. We got a Carson Wentz huge fan.
You know what? I mean, there have always been people who don't like what I say, so nothing's ever going to change.
Okay, we got a bunch of questions here. We're 2 minutes away. I think I'm okay with a little bit of overtime. What do you think? A little bit of overtime?
Sure.
All right, let's do a little bit of overtime. Philip just did a deal, and you guys will hate it. I received T. Higgins. I have Boyd Collins 2020.
Yeah, he means gave. He means gave that.
Oh, okay. I gave Boyd Collins 2024 first,
far away
second. Terrible. I think they'll start having to roll coverage to Chase. Plus, this offense is on fire.
I mean, double everything I said about Higgins and apply it to Boyd. So I don't like him. I mean, I'm just not doing this deal though. I don't want to give up all of that for Higgins. I'm just not going to do that. If I'm going to get Higgins, I want him at a dumpster bin bargain basement price. This is not that. So it's just not the kind of deal I would ever make to acquire someone like Higgins. He's just not good enough. He's not good enough for me to do this. So
I think the value is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I agree with you. It's not really the way I want to play.
No, I don't want to play this way either.
So this is a tough question. What would you pay for what looks to be the 2023 101?
That's impossible to answer because how confident are you about that?
How can you know that?
Like,
right.
yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I think the better question is where would I draft Bijan Robinson if I could draft him in a startup today, and knowing that I couldn't use him until 2023, and he'd probably be somewhere in the second round of a 1 QB.
All right. So if you're going to go down this road, though, you have to think you can't give this person anything that's going to increase their odds of not getting the 101.
No, I don't really want to go down that road.
So
I think
yeah.
I think what I said is the more interesting question, which is where would you draft Bijan Robinson, knowing you can't use him until 2023? And I think he's worth that much. I think it's mid-second round. He's that good.
Oh, we did this one. Gabe Boyd side.
Yeah, we talked about that already.
Zach Wilson, how about him in Superflex? Would you get Claypool for him straight up if you need a QB? Yes, I would.
I would, but I don't think I'm really looking to acquire Zach Wilson at this time.
James, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate that. If you're watching this, make sure you subscribe. Give you a little bit of bonus coverage, overtime here of Tyler.
Also, that deal's probably not getting done. I don't think you'll be able to buy Zach Wilson for just Claypool.
6-1, sell high on Henderson. Also have Mixon, Fournette, Javante, Pollard, Drake, Rojo, 12-team PPR.
Nah, you can't afford it.
No, drop Rojo.
Well, that too, but you can't afford it. Just try to win a title. You're 6-1.
AJ, T. Higgins, Visca, and a 2022 first for Terry and Dobbins.
Okay. Higgins and Dobbins actually carry similar value, and
yeah, I like
Terry over the Visca in a first. So Terry side.
Yep, Terry side for me.
Terry side.
Najee for AJ Brown and a first. Rebuilding.
AJ Brown on a first easily.
Yeah, hard to say about Najee though.
No matter the status of your team, I'd take AJ Brown.
What's up, Yeffy? He says, hey guys. Offered DK, CEH, Lance, and a first for Chase, and it was declined. Super flex. Wow.
It's way too much. I don't know. I'm glad it was declined.
It's nuts that you offered it and nuts that he declined it. Yeah. You're right, Philip.
I would have smash accepted it.
The New York Fight Exchange MMA says, great show tonight, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this a friend of yours? Are you in a secret fight club?
No, I have no idea. Maybe this is someone that I sometimes promote my YouTube channel, but that's my channel. I don't know how they ended up in here.
The secret fight club that I'm thinking you're a part of, and now you can't even talk about it. You're like, oh no, he outed me.
Sure.
PS heard buy low about Gallup. Just got him last week. Not as low as I thought, but owner knows he's in a contract year plus Cooper Lamb insurance.
Yeah, I would like to have done that, but you maybe still can.
Superflex currently rebuilding team. Godwin for 2 first, 2022 and 2023. 2023, excuse me. The team's current rank, whose pick I would be getting, is 11th and 12th.
Is that 11th or 12th, like as in you're getting the 111 and 112, or 11th and 12th as in you're getting the 101? Because if it's the back end of the order, then I would say no, I don't want to do this.
Right.
If it's the top end of the order, then I would say do it immediately and don't look back. Yeah. So
agreed.
It's I do like Godwin moving forward.
Let's see. Rob 1, Smith, Taylor, or Harris. I don't know
who's running back, Dynasty running back 1. I mean, those are my top 3, and I have it Taylor 1, Harris 2, Swift 3.
Good for you for interpreting that. Nice job. Jefferson, Odell, 2023 first for CD, Claypool, CEH. Which side?
Well, I mean, Odell is a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
Complete waste of time.
Jefferson in a first.
It's pretty close, honestly. I mean, Jefferson and Lamb are not that different in value.
Yeah.
Jefferson's worth a little bit more, and 23 first and Claypool are similar. And I'd rather have CH than Odell. It's tough. I mean, is this how much are you trying to compete here? Like, if you're trying to compete, then I'd probably take the Lamb side because that has a couple more players you can actually use. So I don't think you're gonna be able to use Odell at all. So I guess also if this is not super flex, I'd easily take the Lamb side. If it is, then the 23 first is worth more compared to these non-quarterbacks, and then it's a lot closer. But we'll see.
Patrick is curious what you would give up for Gallup. Any ideas, pick-wise or young wide receivers you're okay sending to acquire? Gallup.
I don't want to send a young wide receiver to acquire Gallup. Gallup's another one where I'm probably looking to send someone way older, like who's going to produce more this year. Although a lot of those players have underperformed so badly, it's been hard to trade them. But if you can still trade Robert Woods for Gallup, and Robert Woods is going to produce more than Gallup this year, for example, and you're in a rebuild. If you could get Gallup for a single second rounder, maybe I would do that. Those are a couple ideas. But young wide receiver, no, I'm probably not sending a young wide receiver to acquire Gallup.
Yeah, the only one that jumped out at me is maybe you could get Gallup plus for like Cortland Sutton, like we talked about earlier. You know, something like that. That might, depending on the plus, would have to be.
If there's someone who still believes in Laviska Shenault, I'm fine sending Laviska Shenault for Gallup.
Yeah,
I just think Gallup's a far better player. Shenault, I think, is a bust.
Gain Josh says new to Dynasty this year and just want to say thanks. I've learned a lot from you guys and I like this show format. I feel like I found you guys. Thank you.
I'm always happy when I hear that people. I'm always happy that I hear when people are learning, because that's really my goal. That's always my goal in anything I do. Articles, Twitter, here. It's always to teach people.
I've learned a lot from this show too. And then when Tyler watches the show back after, he gets smarter.
I do watch it back.
Yeah. What are you buying Devontae Smith for? Asked John.
Oh, it's a good question. I mean, Devontae Smith, with everything going on with Jalen Hurts, actually now is a good time to buy Devontae Smith. Devonta Smith, I guess. Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Pittman, straight up, I would do. And Pittman's been playing better than Smith recently. Maybe you think you could get that done. I would. If you could trade like Debo Samuel for Devonta Smith in a first, like people were talking about with Jalen Waddle, I would love to do that.
Yeah. Marquise Brown.
And a second, maybe it would cost to get to Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
I would do that. So any of those things. Yeah, I'm interested in buying Devonta Smith. I think there's a good buying window right now. I would trade. Agreed. I'd also trade Waddle for Smith Plus if that was available.
Yep. Me too. Michael Thomas and Goddard for George Kittle.
We're talking about 3 players I don't want. I guess I worry that Michael Thomas is never coming back.
I worry about that too as a Saints fan, but
Kittle has joined the injury-prone club.
But he's the only player in this that has a chance to be a difference maker for you, so that's why I'd
lean Kittle, but I don't want any of these. I don't like this deal. But if it gets me out of Michael Thomas, I guess I'd take it.
Gator says, I'm a legit contender, but desperately need a tight end. I have a deep wide receiver core. Start one of all these positions. Offered Ridley plus 2022, 2023 first for Pitts, and it was declined. Yep, move on.
Ridley's a buy low, not a sell low.
I'm not giving up Ridley and
no, I'm not doing this
for Pitts.
No. It's too much. So
it's way too much.
I don't think
this
it's way
is one
too
of
much.
those where the other guy is probably going to look back and.
No, honestly, I don't think it's way too much. I just think it's a little bit too much. I don't think it's way too much anymore.
I love Pitts, but wow.
I don't think it's way too much.
Would you trade Harris for Swift in a first?
Easily. Yeah, give me Swift in a first.
Currently halfway through a rebuild with an eye to my opening window in 2023.
Keenan Allen's got to go then.
Trade.
Keenan Allen's got to go. And my suggestion would be my first choice. Could you try to turn Keenan Allen into maybe Rashad Bateman or Tony? One of those two. If you can't do that, then Elijah Moore or Terrace Marshall plus, because people hate those two. They haven't done anything.
Yeah. Back to the CEH trade from earlier. There's his wide receivers. Try to package a deal to upgrade an RB from CEH.
Sure. I don't want CEH. I'd love to do that.
So him and who I forget who we were just talking about. Him and Hollywood for whoever we were just talking about trading Hollywood.
Well, I mean,
for.
what running back are you going to acquire, right? If you're going to upgrade running back, you have to acquire a better running back. Who is that even going to be? Robinson, James Robinson? But you're not going to add any of these guys to CEH to get James Robinson. There's except for St. Brown, I guess, but that wouldn't be enough. I mean, you'd probably want to aim higher. Like, what if you could go for CEH and you're really a contender, right? You want to win CEH and Rondale Moore for like Austin Eckler. If Eckler's on a rebuilder, you want to win. You need a player to win. Go for it.
That's a great trade.
With Austin Eckler. CH and Rondale for Eckler or something like that.
Yeah.
CH and Higgins for Eckler. Something like that.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, titles are titles. If you have a chance, go for it.
James Javier Harris plus Connor plus a pick for Barkley plus Smith.
It's going to be the Barkley and Smith side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless that's like a top 3 first in Superflex is probably going to be the Barkley and Smith side.
Kevin just wants to know if Ed's here. So
Ed's always here in our hearts.
He's always here. Rebuilding in a 10-team Superflex was offered the likely 101 in 2022 and a 2021 for Burrow.
How likely? You know, it doesn't matter. It's still not enough.
I think it's still Burrow.
Not enough. Still Burrow. Because there's not going to be a quarterback like that in this class. So it's still Burrow. Still Burrow.
In the great offseason Twitter debate of Visca versus Chark, the answer was obviously Marvin Jones.
It was Chark was actually the answer before he got hurt.
I actually answered Marvin Jones once. I don't remember what show I was on. I was guesting on somebody's show, and they asked me Visca versus Chark.
It was Marvin Jones when they were all healthy.
Marvin
sure.
Jones,
yeah.
Is Trevor Lawrence just average? No.
Oh, no. Trevor Lawrence has looked very good the last few weeks. He's been the only rookie quarterback to look actually like everything that was promised.
Mac Jones was good.
Well, Mac Jones was good in the last game, but he, wasn't promised that much. So it's easier to look good when you're expecting a game manager and you get a game manager, then that's okay. But like Trevor Lawrence is delivered on the special talent that Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson have shown that much of. 0.
Devonta Smith for a late first and second.
23. I mean, if it's 1 QB, that's a great deal. But super flex, I just don't usually do that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to usually just buy like a maybe. I mean, he's still a maybe. He's still in the maybe group. I'm just not going to spend. Opportunity cost says that I don't want to spend my first and second on that.
Yeah, can't wait to see how it looks.
If it's 1 QB, I'm fine with it, but I'm not going to give up a chance at a quarterback for that.
I'm looking forward to Gardner Minshew chucking balls deep to Devonta Smith later this year.
Gardner Minshew would be great for Devonta Smith's value.
16 teams Superflex PPR have 1.5 tight end premium. Mark Andrews and James Conner or a first and Tyler Lockett.
Well, I mean, in a 16-team tight end premium,
that first 1.5 valuable if.
Well, it's worth a lot less because it's 16 teams. So
if it's late, then it's really not valuable at all.
Tyler Lockett's not worth much. I'll go with Mark Andrews here.
Appreciate it, guys. Great stuff. Great. Love the show. Thank you, Gator. Just trade away Keenan Allen for a first and 2 weeks ago.
Well, I mean, the trade for Waddle is good no matter what. Trading him for a first, if you're in a rebuild, I'll take the first in any format, even 1 QB at this point. Keenan Allen is a declining asset. He's already 29, turns 30 next offseason. Honestly, I think Mike Williams is the one there now.
And last question of the day, Watson and Lance in 1 QB. Should I try trading one?
You can't. Neither of them are starting right now. So
I'm not sure what you're going to get.
I don't know what you mean. I'm sure, but I'm not sure what you mean.
Yes, you should try.
Sure, try, but I
don't know how successsul you're going to be, Joe.
You might not be very successful. I agree.
Let us know. And we appreciate everyone who has tuned in tonight. Very lively. We got some overtime.
I know.
Of Taco Tuesday. Ask DLF. We appreciate it. Tyler, thank you very much. Any last words?
No, I just want to tell the people that I appreciate all the questions. This was the most lively chat we've had in quite a while.
Yeah.
So I just appreciate all the interaction, all the questions, and also the conversations that go on between people in the chat. So that's something we always talk about that we think is really cool. about this show is that there are whole conversations in the chat with each other that don't even include us. So we love that. We love to see that.
Love that. Thank you guys. Follow Tyler. Follow me. Follow at DL Football. Thanks, Gator. Great stuff. Keep it up. And we will see. Yeah, hit us up on Twitter. Otherwise, we will see you next week.